What's up, you guys? Welcome to Boss Level 8. My name is Tech, and we watched the movie Replicas starring Keanu Reeves, and guess what? So far, everyone hates it. Like really doesn't like it. Like a lot. Especially this guy, Jake Cole, whose review we're gonna read, but we're gonna try and be objective, not say anything about how good the movie is or bad the movie is, and just generally make fun of his review. Before we get started, if it's your first time here, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the little bell right next to it to get notified every single time we have a new video. Now let's take a look at rapper Jake Cole's review. Jeffrey Nachmanoff's Replicas begins as a loose RoboCop riff. Experimental biologist William Foster, Keanu Reeves, uploads a dead soldier's consciousness into a robot, leading to a moment of confusion on its inexpressive metal face before the reborn man realizes what's happened and annihilates himself in existential horror. See, I told you they were gonna tell you the plot. You actually said the plot as good as Keanu Reeves' character said the plot in this movie. Because I'm pretty sure right after that happened, he explained everything that just happened, just in case we missed it. As is what happened in most of this movie with everything that happens. Also, how is confusion inexpressive? Pretty sure that's an expression. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just confused about it. Despite this disastrous trial, William fast forwards through the resource-intensive process of his scientific research when he suddenly loses his wife, Mona, Alice Eve, and 3 children in a car accident whose actors' names are not worth mentioning. Although they were the best acting in the entire movie, considering we had a somewhat star-studded cast, but they don't belong in parentheses because no one knows who they are yet, so shut up, you stupid little kids. Having been unable to transfer consciousness into a technological vessel, William abruptly decides to download his dead family's memories and place them into lab-created, fully organic clones. Not exactly lab created, unless you call like a garage. What was it, his basement? I think it was a basement lab. I guess it's technically a lab. Just because you empty a bunch of bottles in your garage and your buddies get high off of it doesn't make you a scientist. The film's slippery grasp of just how much of this research is scientifically possible defines much of the narrative, in which the only limitation to Williams' increasingly deranged scheme is how much he can filch from his office without anyone taking note. I'm just wondering, you said slippery grasp as to the validity of the science? You wanted validity of the science at the first scene of this movie? There is none. Absolutely none. You should know that immediately from this point. Like right away, when he puts on his headset and starts going like this and moving around his magical computer thing, which is actually something that exists because of VR, but he's doing it to reanimate some crap robot with the brain of a human soldier, and then he ends up killing himself because he doesn't know who he is. Maybe at that point, 5 minutes into the movie, figure out the rest isn't gonna coincide with science. The opening gestures toward RoboCop-style corporate dystopia soon give way to a more insular set of sci-fi references as the story narrows on William's desire to revive his family. I guess. I didn't really expect it to be like a dystopian society. I just expected it to be like the near future thing where it's like, hey, we're trying to achieve something no one's achieved before, and then it goes wrong. That's all I thought. I didn't think he was gonna walk outside and it was gonna be like a completely different looking world. That would have been really strange. It would have been an opportunity for Keanu Reeves' character to go, whoa. But it still would have been odd. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind in particular becomes a touchstone when William, only able to clone 3 of his 4 family members, decides not only which of his children to leave dead, but modifies the other's stored consciousness to erase all memories of the one doomed child. Okay? You're not giving a lot of review in this review so far. And I don't even like this movie. So you're just giving us plot and saying a couple things that it's kind of akin to or was trying to be, but so far not much review. I'm hoping that we actually get there, but I'm assuming that we just move on to the next thing. The film relies on a great deal of gobbledygook pseudoscience to remotely justify the plausibility of Williams' deranged activities, and of course it does. It's pseudoscience. We don't have to go back to the whole this shouldn't have been real science thing. Just to talk about another Keanu movie, did you watch The Matrix and you're like, all of this can happen. It's all backed up by science. It makes sense. No, it doesn't. And you should know, immediately. It's like getting mad about Star Trek. And it undermines the recent Reeves renaissance by saddling the actor with the kind of ill-fitting exposition-heavy role that made him a joke with audiences and critics earlier in his career. I agree that there was lots of exposition, but I actually don't think that that was the reason that people were kind of making fun of Keanu Reeves for a little while. I think it's because a lot of his roles, it just sounded like Ted Theodore Logan was playing a role instead of Keanu Reeves was playing a role. The amount of time, you can only have to say, whoa, so many times at that point. And whoa is definitely not exposition. That's pretty much why they were making fun of him. The tendency for Replica's scientific possibilities to advance a few years with every 15 minutes of screen time leaves the film's pacing wonky. That's really funny. They figured things out, that's all. They just figured stuff out. He couldn't figure something out and then he figured it out. It was like one thing. It wasn't moving forward that far every 15 minutes. It even got to the point where like he didn't have the answer and he just about gave up and then figured out the answer on accident. It wasn't just, if that was the case, we would have had a much better robot at the end of this fucking movie. At once sprinting through the setbacks of research and testing that should hamper Williams' scheme while also pausing incessantly to rehash the same ethical arguments between William and Ed. Yeah, I mean, I would have wanted more ethical arguments, to be perfectly honest. It seemed like no one had a problem with what they were doing in this movie. They should have stopped a lot of moments and been like, we probably shouldn't be doing this, right? Let's just do it anyway, I guess. But you know, who cares? Whatever. I could have dealt with a little bit more emotion and ethics in this movie than what actually happened, to be perfectly frank. These debates are ultimately rendered irrelevant by the last act, which steamrolls over the film's moral drama in favor for an awkward turn to corporate thriller as Williams' profit-obsessed boss, Jones, John Ortiz, catches wind of his employee's rogue experiment. Sure, John Ortiz gets to be put in parentheses, but still not those damn kids. I know they die in the movie, but 2 come back to life. At least name them. Also, speaking of spoilers, he tried not to spoil the boss thing because he's like, the boss found out what was going on. And I'm gonna tell you right now, spoilers, the boss knew what was going on the whole time. So you like carefully tiptoed around that spoiler even though you're telling the entire plot of the movie, which is really funny. It's like, I don't want to ruin the twist. The lurch into tense intrigue leads to a baffling climax which uses the film's confusing rules about cloning and neural transference solely to add yet more convolution to William and Jones's conflict. I think that your goal with your review is to sound more intelligent than this movie. That's my theory. So far you are, I gotta admit. And if that's your goal, great. I don't feel like I'm getting a very good review of this movie, but you do sound smarter. To the point that the story's conclusion appears to be overly complicated for its own sake, which I never really understand that. What does that mean when people are like, oh, it's just complicated for its own sake? Well, what, like, how does it benefit from being complicated? Like, how does the movie benefit from it? It's like, thank you. If that was easier, I would have been bored. That's how movies talk, I guess. Bypassing the simplest solution to Williams' issues in favor of a scheme so elaborate and how it doubles back on itself that it borders on the Asherian. What was the easier solution? I really wish your review included the easier solution to this movie. Does everyone dies or something? I don't know. What's the easier solution to this movie? I don't know an easier, like not making it is the only solution I have that's easier than coming up with that ending. The climax's bizarre left turns culminate in a final image so bewildering that were the film not so relentlessly dour, it might have clarified Replicas as an absurdist comedy. Bewildering, really? If by bewildering you mean like obvious, expected, and really poorly done. But it's not bewildering. It's not, like, based on the rest of the movie, that's exactly what you should have thought the ending thing was gonna be and what you thought it should have looked like. It shouldn't incite bewilderment from you at all. You should have been bewildered if, like, the last 5 minutes or that last shot was amazing. That should have been it. Then you've been like, well, what happened for the rest of the movie? That one part was so good. If you saw Replicas, which I'm assuming you didn't, what did you think of it? More importantly, what do you think of this guy's review of it? And can you name any of the children in this movie? Put it in the comments. If it's your first time here, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the little bell right next to it. You can get notified every single time we have a new video out. We record our videos live on Twitch, and if you want to check that out, there is a link down in the description. Click one of the videos on the screen right now to watch another one from us. I got really intense at the end there. Till we see you next time. Geek out, game on. Sorry.
fine.
I'm a little warm.